Hi, beautiful. Today we're talking kind of psychology, interpersonal dynamics, authentic relating relationships, that kind of thing. So I have some notes I'll be referring to in my notebook, so bear with me. So, really, what comes up for me is this need and this desire and exploration into letting go of patterned and conditioned, deeply ingrained ways of relating to other people in the context of relationships, all kinds of relationships. So I invite you to reflect and ask yourself these questions and see what comes up. Are you always the talker, the listener, the healer, the advice giver, the complainer, the helper, the victim? Do you tend to be the giver or the receiver? Maybe you're the joker, the jokester, the serious one, the depressed one, the anxious one, the blissed out super spiritual one. Identify any of those patterns. Maybe you're one predominantly, maybe you're a mix of these things. Maybe in some relationships you fall into some patterns, in other relationships you fall into other patterns. Maybe most of the time you're in one kind of zone, and then when you're stressed, you revert to a different one. Just contemplate. What I've noticed is that when I break out of a pattern way of relating to someone else, it creates space for the other person to break out of their patterned, conditioned, ingrained way of relating to me. So that's pretty dang cool. For example, my default pattern is to relate as the coach or the therapist or the healer. For many years, this was my default, and it got so bad that I felt like I was human composter, human garbage disposal for other people. I would just let them dump and dump and dump on me, and I would just hold and hold and hold the space. And I'm not saying it's not good to hold space. It's actually really a beautiful gift to give others, to hold space. It's a necessary part of relationships, of deep heart connections. It's something I really, really enjoy, actually, hence doing it to that extent. But it's something I've had to kind of like reel back in and learn to set the B word, healthy boundaries. Yes, indeed. I've learned that holding space for others, relating to others as a coach, therapist, healer, that kind of thing is one role, is one piece of my personality. And it's totally fine to do that in certain contexts. So when situationally the exchange is equal, when I'm actually working professionally, for example, as a coach, and there is a monetary energetic exchange, that's fine. That's fulfilling. That is me acting in a service capacity for others, and I love it. It's also okay in casual relationships to relate in that way, as long as it's in the context of a dialogue, an equal energetic exchange, a balance of give and take. Usually with someone who's on a similar frequency to me, and we're able to just share in that way. But yes, friends, it does not negate the need to set healthy boundaries. And some of the forms that can take include speaking up when needed, speaking up and naming the fact that maybe it's not feeling equal, when that is the compassionate and kind thing to do. It's not always okay. It might be better in some cases, for example, to change the kind of contact, maybe reduce the amount of time I spend with that person, change the circumstances, maybe even leave the interaction if needed, change to different forms of contact, less contact, like I said, experimenting with different kinds of boundaries for different relationships, and also knowing when to call it and when to let go, even when that is challenging. But certain relationships do have their expiration dates, and it's okay to let go and notice when you're growing apart with someone, or maybe you're still growing a lot and they're kind of stuck on the same story or something like that. And it can be quite sad, but it can also be an opportunity to relate in a different way. As I said, when I start relating in a different way, maybe I was always kind of the coach, advice giver, wise woman in a certain relationship, and I start sharing more lightness, more humor, more just levity, instead of sinking into that heaviness and literally like lowering my vibration to like hold and just be drained, be like, all right, like here. Yeah, I had some experiences lately where I felt like that was what was being asked of me, and I was stunned and reminded of times when I would just do that. And it was almost like a kind of prostitution thing, energetic prostitution, that it felt like violating and dirty, and as I said, like a garbage disposal or a human composter or something like that. And I used to think that that was okay, and that, you know, there was always this feeling of like ickiness or like being kind of grossed out by it, and knowing it was kind of like a perversity, like a bit of this, I know this isn't good, but it also is like familiar and kind of juicy. And yeah, so I would always get that red flag, but I would let it happen anyway. Now when that starts to happen, it's like, nope. You need to mix it up, because this is not gonna fly anymore. You have grown past that way of relating to people. And I mean, this could also be kind of under the umbrella of codependency, if you like that word, or yeah, just like a kind of intimacy that is not healthy or equitable, fair, high vibe. None of that. Yeah. Also, you know, relating in these conditioned patterns, deeply ingrained ways of relating to people, it's almost like putting on a mask. It's like, instead of being my fullest, most spacious, expanded, fully realized, authentic self, with all these different parts and aspects and ways of behaving and relating, I'm just gonna do this one thing because it's like the safe thing to do, or it's the expected thing to do, or it's like what the other person wants. And that's very limiting and very much like a lie. So I think that also speaks to the ickiness. It's not necessarily, oh man, it's this other person's fault. They are just a freaking vampire. I mean, there's a certain responsibility for each of us to embody that more expansive space, be more true to ourselves, be more who we really are instead of trying to please someone else or shapeshift into whatever it is we think that they need, because they may not even need or want that too. So this is not me saying to blame another person. It's just, yeah, kind of a mindfulness practice to see honestly how I'm relating to other people. Is it in just like this pattern condition safe kind of way, or can I take this opportunity to be brave, to be courageous, and to relate in a new way, introduce lightness, or if I'm just using that lightness too much, introduce a bit more seriousness. Do whatever the moment is calling for, and taking the moment as the individual moment, the person as they are showing up now, and let go of any kind of preconceived ideas about what they want from me, who they are, how I relate to them. Like, can this moment, can this relationship, can this exchange be truly fresh and present right now? Because I'm a different person than I was 5 seconds ago, and they're a different person than they were 5 seconds ago, if we are being fully conscious right now. And I don't have to just follow the deepest grooves in my brain. I can wire something new right now, and so can you. So play with that and let me know your thoughts. I would love to know the roles that you tend to get stuck in and how you break out of that, what you might have noticed when you break out of those rules. Any of your thoughts with regard to this topic. How do you set healthy boundaries? Great ideas around that would be much appreciated. Always trying to hone those skills, because I did not necessarily, that was not a skill set of mine that I've always had. So still working on those, still working on all of this. I'm a work in progress. That is the beauty of life. We just keep on growing until the very end, and then the end is not even the end. The end is just a transition into a different space. So exciting this journey is. Thank you so much for watching. That is all for now. Please like this video if you like it. Subscribe for more. I take video requests too. Ask me any questions you may have. Please take care of yourself. Much love to you. Namaste.